You need to sign this in your time. You got here. Hurry up. Oh, hurry, yeah, hurry up and sign up before we. Are you okay? Okay? Okay, while they're signing this, is anybody, so the first part is budget, the first three sections. Is anybody talking for the budget? Anyone? Nobody? I don't blame you. We probably won't much either. Oh, pass it down. Didn't know who was talking. So then this will be for, well, then we'll just wait till we go to the regular meeting. And let you guys, we'll decide if it's on the agenda or if it's off the agenda.
Does anyone else need to sign to speak?
Suzanne, did you get it? Yeah. Or nobody else is speaking? Okay. Because this is your chance to sign up, and if not. Nope. I think that's yours. No, you don't have to. We'll do introductions, of course. Okay. Let's go ahead and you can pick up now. Go ahead and call this budget hearing meeting for September 19, 2022 at 7:04.
Let's stand for pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. And welcome. I didn't say welcome to everybody. Please join me for a moment of meditation. Thank you. Mission of Smith Green Community Schools to provide a superior education experience that ensures success for every student through excellence in teaching and learning. All right. On time. You're up. Yeah. So the presentation for the 2023 capital projects plan, just so everybody knows.
And board, if you brought your budget binders with you, this would be under the presentation section towards the back. Right after the presentation, there's the capital projects, and then the bus replacement will follow that. So this is the hearing night. This is the night that the public has the opportunity to come in and listen to our capital projects plan for the next 3 years. And Then anytime between tonight and when you vote, when you pass a resolution at the October 17th meeting, community can come in and talk to me in person. You guys can come talk to me in person if you have any questions, whatever. So we are required by law to publicize a 3-year capital project plan. And as you can see, my first year has quite a bit more, obviously, to it than the next 2 years. But each year, we have to budget in for the gym floor refinishing and repairs, any bleacher inspections and services. We are still working on our replacing classroom carpet, 4 classrooms at the elementary end each year and 4 classrooms at the junior senior high end each year. So those are on all 3 years budgets, as well as furniture for the elementary 4 classrooms worth of furniture and 4 classrooms worth of furniture at the junior senior end. We have also put in here, now just keep in mind, once I get the budget back from the state, we'll have to go through this and we'll have to decide what we can do. But we won't be able to do a project that costs more than $10,000 if we haven't advertised for it. So there's obviously more on this first year, 2023, than what we will be able to do with the money that we're going to get. But we've also included in here, we need a new ticket booth at the football track area. We need to asphalt back there. We need to do some repair and repainting of the elementary library. We also need to look at starting to replace the auditorium stage and house lighting. That we're working on getting a proposal for a spending plan, so it won't all happen at once. We're working with a couple different companies to get us quotes on a 2 or 3 year plan. And I know that Ms. E. Blockman is working on some grants for us to help out with those projects. So, and Harold Norman donations during his funeral will help with a stage curtain too, which is not on here because that would not cost more than $10,000 to the corporation once the donations are used. We need to look at a new discus cage and fencing around that. I've appropriated $50,000 as our safety grant match. I put on here some asphalt for the empty lot when the houses are demolished over there, and some parking lot and island curbing. That is all in the year 2023. Then 2024 and 2025 again are just those things that we do every year, and then as we weed through the 23 projects that we're able to complete, we'll move some of those down to the next few years. We also need to purchase a walk-in freezer for the cafeteria, and depending on the balance in their accounts, they will be able to help with some of it, maybe none of it, but we'll have to wait until we get there. They also have some equipment that they need to buy, like a steamer and a refrigerator, so we'll just have to see where their account lies when we get ready to purchase that freezer. Our baseball scoreboard and our football and track scoreboard are in desperate need of replacement. So we have both of those on there. Not sure that we'll be able to do them both, but they're both on there for now. So that is our capital project plan.
Questions? We're good?
No,
Nobody?
sorry.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe. You're welcome.
Yes, thanks. And there's no public comment, so we will go ahead and adjourn that meeting at, I'm going to say 7:09 for the 2023 capital projects plan. Thank you, everyone. All right, and now I'm going to open the bus replacement plan hearing at 7:09, September 19, 2022.
Okay, board, and the bus replacement plan, we are required to advertise a 5-year bus replacement plan. So in front of you would be that plan. For 2023, we're looking to replace 2 full-size buses. The buses that would go in as a trade-in or to sell would be bus number 19 and bus number 22. We will also be getting rid of bus number 7, which is one of the special needs buses. So we'll be getting rid of that and not replacing that one because we just bought those 2 from the co-op. And in 2024, we're looking at replacing an activity bus, trading in bus number 33, and replacing bus 25 with a full-size bus. And the same the following year, in 2025, we're looking at an activity bus and a full-size bus. And in 2026, we're looking at 2 full-size buses, and again in 2027, 2 full-size buses. I've appropriated, or I've asked for $125,000 for each of the full-size buses and $100,000 for the activity buses for those years. We are no longer need to ask for money to send to the co-op to help them buy buses because we're not providing transportation now. So that used to be anywhere between $30,000 and $34,000 a year would go to the co-op for buses. So we no longer need to do that. That's all I got.
The white activity buses are $100,000.
They don't, no, they're not quite that, but we appropriate that much because we can buy extra like tires and such for our full-size buses. We can add that into that. So I appropriate that much to give us a little bit extra for the years that we're buying activity buses. We can buy some of those bigger price items for our other buses and include that in that.
Okay.
In the bid. The activity buses typically will come in, I think last year we spent 70.
That's what I was thinking, and that's why
Yeah.
I kind of took the advice.
Yeah, no, I always appropriate a little bit more for those buses. Same with the full-size buses, they won't come in quite that amount. There's a smaller gap than the activity buses, but we can still slide some of those bigger priced items that we did.
Okay. So
Good. Okay, we move on, there's no public comments for that, so I will adjourn the 2023 bus replacement plan, September 19th, 2022 at 7:13 p.m. All right, so one more, bear with us. So the third one is, I'm going to open the meeting for September 19th, 2022 at 7:13 p.m. for the debt service education operation referendum and rainy day budget hearing.
All right, board, in front of you, in your budget binder, I gave you, this year it's a little bit different this year, I just gave you a section called presentation, so we're just going to go through that real quickly. Again, if you have any questions, we can talk about it here, you can come and talk to me in person and say about the community. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody that wants to talk about it.
I guess we should have said that before. Anytime you can come in and talk to the school, of course, just call me first.
Yeah, is that what you
Just in case she's not here.
All right, so the budget adoption calendar, as you know, we had the work session on August 15th. I did advertise on Gateway, and I posted our plans and our advertised budget on our website on September 1st. Tonight, of course, is the hearing. October 17th, you will vote, hopefully, to adopt the budget, the capital projects plan, and the bus replacement plan. And then anytime between then and January 1st, I will receive our certified budget back from the state. Okay. As you all know, we've talked about this a lot of times. The goal for me is to inflate our budgets just for protection. And on your next page, you can see that I am assuming that we will have 1,210 students for the 22-23 school year. And what that does is if I were to budget and say we're only going to have, we're going to have an ADM of 1,150 kids, but we end up with 1,200 kids, I've not budgeted enough. The state will look at our numbers, they will only give me the amount of money that they feel I need to educate those, the kids that we actually do have, yeah. So these are the assumptions I used. I did use 1,210 students as our ADM. There is a 5% growth quotient revenue increase to the operations fund. That is a given. That's, I guess that shouldn't label that as an assumption. It is 5% this year, so we will receive 5% more in our operations fund revenue this year. I did assume a 15% drop in assessed valuation, kind of the same thing. If I assume that our AV is going to grow and it drops, then we're not going to get the money that we should have gotten from the taxes. So I always, and that's DLGF's recommendation to drop your AV by 15% when you're working your budget. We did work in a 5% increase to salaries plus any kind of market adjustments, according to the area survey that we had participated in. That's what I used as assumptions when I was building the budget. The funds that we're going to talk about tonight are going to be the education fund, the operating referendum fund, debt service, operations, and rainy day. I've given you the advertised budget for 2022 and then what was actually approved. And we advertised $14,781,000. We were approved for $14,413,000. And then on the 2023 proposed budget, I am proposing it a little bit higher. Again, they're going to bring that down to whatever our actual AV comes in at, our actual student count is going to come down. But I am advertising that at $16,969,000 this year. All right. Our education fund, there were some recent changes in the law that I just wanted to bring to your attention. After June 30th of 2022, if we're unable to meet the minimum salary requirement for each full-time teacher, then we must file a report to the Department of Education. The minimum salary requirement was set at $40,000 per year. So last year we were at $40,000, this year we're $41,000, so we are there. Another recent change in the law was the funding floor. If the amount of money that we receive from our state tuition, which is based off of our student count, if the money that we receive for our state tuition for any fiscal year is greater than the amount that we received the prior year, we cannot pay less amount for full-time teacher salaries. Does that make sense? So they kind of monitor if we receive more, then we have to pay at least what we paid last year.
What is the likelihood of that, Jody? What is the likelihood that we would increase and have to do that? So go from 41,000 to say 42, if that happens.
This year, it won't because our ADM has dropped. So
Right.
yeah. So
Okay.
this year it's not likely yet.
And
we did give our teachers a raise last year because we settled a 2-year contract.
Right.
So they'll be getting a $3,000 raise this year. So we will be spending more than what we spent last year.
And even our ADM.
Yeah. Expenditures for salaries is another recent change in the law. So after June 30th of 21, we are required to expend an amount for full-time teacher salaries not less than 45% of our state tuition money. So we'll talk about what makes up that state tuition money in just a couple minutes. But and if not, we have to file for a waiver from the state. So I'm looking into that right now because we are sitting at 44.47%. So I need to look into what we need to do to file that waiver. So we're just 0.5% under. So. Next year shouldn't be a problem, but right now for the previous school year we were just under that 45%. So education fund revenue sources. That tuition support that I'm talking about is made up of 5 components. It takes into account student enrollment. For the 21-22 school year, we received, and every school district received the same amount throughout the state. We received $5,995 per student. For the 22-23 school year, that will increase to $6,235 per student. And again, every corporation receives the same amount per student for a body in the seat, basically. Another component is complexity. This is different districts will receive different amounts, and what this is based off of is the October 1st, 2020 % of our students who received SNAP, TANF, or were in foster care. For Smith Green, we received $282.75 per student for that. So some neighboring districts may receive $1,000 per student. So it just depends on what your free reduced percentage of students are, how much you're going to get per student for that. The state also takes into account honors diploma. This is additional money that we received for the previous graduating class who received an honors diploma. We received $1,500 for students who were on free reduced lunches or free textbooks, and we receive $1,100 for all other honor diplomas. Career and technical, the Indiana Department of Workforce Development actually makes recommendations to the state board. That's basically an amount per student. The amount per student varies by the job value. So like if they're going to impact and they're going to welding, Indiana Department of Workforce has said what that course is worth to us. So if we have 5 kids in welding and that course is worth $500, we're going to get $500 per student from the state for that. And then they also give us different dollar amounts for special education students, depending on whether they're severe, moderate, or if they have a speech problem, or even our preschool kids, we get a different dollar amount for those, and those are listed there for you as well. That count does not happen until December 1st, and then that takes into account the entire school year. The rest, like student enrollment, we count twice. The rest of these we count once. Okay. Other revenue sources for the education fund is going to be this summer school money, the supply portion of our textbook fee statement, and interest in the bank account. Okay. The next slide I've given you guys a historical look at our ADM, our enrollments from 2013-14 school year to the current school year. You can see we've kind of bounced all over the place. This current school year does happen to be the lowest. We submitted a count, and it looks like we're coming in at 1,130 kids. The 21-22 school year, we were at 1,178. So we've lost a few kids this year. Looking at the breakdown by object code in the education fund, we pay out of the education fund the salaries and benefits of teachers, principals, IAs in the classroom. That makes up 88% of that budget, of the education fund budget. The education fund also pays for professional services such as substitutes, professional development for the teachers, contracted services, and that kind of those kind of services. We also pay our special education co-op bill out of there. We pay for postage, travel, supplies, technology, and software for the students. That all comes out of the education fund. And I've given you a chart there that shows how much, what percentage in each one of those areas we spend on those. The next slide, I've given you from the 2013-14 school year to the 21-22 school year, just a comparison of the revenue coming into the education fund and the expenses going out. So you can see that we, each of those years, we do have a little bit more revenue coming in than expenses going out, and that is because of the referendum fund that has helped us in the education area, education fund. In the next section, I'm going to talk a little bit, just very little, about the property taxes, assessed valuations, and tax levies. I've given you a breakdown from 2013 to 2022, the tax rates by fund. So again, we get money for our debt service fund, our operations fund, capital projects, transportation, bus replacement, and of course the referendum fund. So I've given you a breakdown of our tax rate for those years. Assessed valuations. I have given you also a history of assessed valuations from the year 2013 through 2022. We have grown each year. We have not decreased AV. Years prior to that, there were some decreases in AV. But since 2013, it has continued to grow just a little bit each year. Tax levies for all funds. I give you how much of the tax levy is actually the dollars that we're bringing in, the tax dollars that we're bringing in. So I've kind of given you a history of 2013 on as well. Of course, 2019 is the year the referendum kicked in. That did increase our tax levies by just a little over $1 million each year. Without that, we would have stayed, within anywhere between $3,000 and $82,000 difference per year for the entire amount of tax money that we were bringing in without that referendum fund. So the rest of the funds have stayed very level. Obviously, we did start to bring in more money in 2019. And even for the community. If anybody has any questions on that, we can go over that in detail if you'd all like Comparisons with area districts, I stuck that slide in there again, we talked about that during the work session. This just compares us to, all the districts around us, and then some, gives all of us the certified assessed valuation for each one of the districts, what their count was for that last fall, their budgets for each one of those, their education budget, I'm sorry, and then, the levies and the tax rates per fund for each one of those districts, too, so you can see where we fall in line with all of the neighboring districts. Keep going. Questions? The operating referendum, we're gonna talk about that. Go ahead.
Sorry, it would be better for me to ask my questions now.
Okay.
So back on, let's see, education fund revenue sources. And you talked about the students. So the December 1st count, was that just for the special education children?
Yeah, December 1, yeah, so the student enrollment for
When's our second count? Is it February?
February 1st, 2nd, it's usually that first Friday of February.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
sure
either the
exactly
first-
what it
But
is.
you said those kids won't be counted again, they only do one count for that.
So the special ed kids get one count. Okay, so on December 1st, they count, and that's the money we get for the entire school year. For whatever kids we have in each, category, that's what we're gonna get. So if we, if a student transfers, moves away, we still continue to get that money for that student. But if we bring in more money, if we bring in other students that we didn't count, right, their other school district will get that. Same with the, student enrollment counts, so last Friday was our student count day. If we bring in new students after that, we won't get the money for them until February. If they're still here, then we would get money for them for the remaining 6 months of the year.
What are they doing with the students who graduate early? Are
No,
they still
that-
taking those kids from
They
us?
still are taking from us, yeah.
Okay.
There's been talk about that, it just
Yeah.
hasn't passed yet.
It didn't.
Right. So if we have a student who graduates in December, we do not get money for that student.
For the second.
For the second 6 months, correct.
And then I have one more question on the number of children you were projecting. Where that was at, I should put it.
Right after.
Here's more accurate, or is that
On
right?
the assumption one.
He had 11.
We had 11:20.
But he said they were gonna add a couple more.
Right,
so-
11:30 as of today, right? When he counted Friday, at the end of the day, it was 11:30.
Yeah, so hers is more updated than what we sent to you.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the projected, the assumption page.
Oh, the assumption page?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I use 1,210
Yeah,
students.
and
as
when,
my-
have we been over 1210? I don't remember, okay, I was trying to remember last time we were.
So the closest we've been, we were at 1196 in the 2016-17 school year.
Okay.
Wednesday, February 1st is the second.
February 1st, thank you.
I'm having trouble.
You're all right.
Should have studied my chair before I sat in it. Did you?
Thanks.
Good, okay. All right, so our referendum fund, the revenue sources for that, of course, are gonna be local property taxes. We do also have to share the, commercial vehicle taxes, license excise, and financial institution taxes with our other, tax funds. So, we get 25.59% of our tax levies goes towards the operating referendum fund. And that same percentage carries for those other miscellaneous taxes as well. So again, our tax funds are gonna be the operating referendum fund, the debt service fund, and our operations fund. Okay. The expenditures, again, we have salaries and benefits, we have, and it's like 80% of our budget, of our referendum budget is salaries and benefits. A 20% is gonna be for purchase services, and that's for the impact program. We have to pay the tuition for those kiddos who go to impact, and so that comes out of there. And if for some reason we would not get the safety grant, we would pay for our SRO out of the referendum fund. That's really all I had on the referendum fund. The debt service fund, this is going to be determined, the levy that the state will allow us is going to be determined by the end of year operating balance. So if we have debt that is newer than 2015, we can carry 15% of that following year's debt payments forward, so that we always have enough money to make those first few months payments if we don't get our tax money in time. So the state will allow us to just carry an operating balance, basically. And they determine it by your debt. So if you have debt that's newer than 2015, you can carry 15% of that debt forward. If you have debt that's older than 2015, you can carry 50% of that debt forward. And it's basically just how much they're going to allow you to have at the end of the year. After all of the payments for 22 are made, that's how much money we would be allowed to carry into 23 with. So that's how they're going to determine, that's going to be a determining factor in how much they allow you to get for our debt service fund as far as revenue. Okay. Same thing with debt service fund. Our revenue sources are going to be the local property taxes and those miscellaneous taxes, which is commercial vehicle, license, excise, and financial institution. Our debt service fund makes up 25.92% of all the levies, the tax levies that we bring in. What we use the debt service fund for is going to be for our bond payments and our common school loan payments. So it's all debt. The operations fund, again, is local property taxes, those same miscellaneous local taxes, but we add the local income tax to this fund. This fund gets 100% of our local income tax levy. Then it also makes up 48.49% of the rest of the levy, so there's your 100% between the debt service, the referendum, and your operations fund. The operations fund, of course, is going to pay for capital projects, equipment, non-instructional technology, and utilities. It's also going to pay for all of our transportation expenses, the replacement of our buses, and the operational expenditures such as custodial, the superintendent's office, those kind of things, and even the custodial supplies. So the cleaning supplies and paper towels and all that will come out of the operations fund. I've given you a chart that shows the operations fund expenditures by objects. It shows you the salaries and benefits, and the professional services, and so forth. The rainy day fund is our money. It does not, we do not collect taxes for rainy day. This is money that we've been able to basically save. We must approve a budget to spend from rainy day. So every year I appropriate $500,000 as a budget in case, and this is for rainy day. This is for if something happens that isn't covered by insurance or whatever. Say for some reason we don't get our property tax check, or something happens with the state level and our revenue is delayed or whatever, or God forbid we have a tornado and we need some cash to operate on for a while. So I have to have a budget in there, or it's a lot more red tape to go through to be able to spend that money. So every year I do ask the department to allow me to spend $500,000 if need be. I do not anticipate any expenses out of rainy day this year. So.
Hey, is this the fund, Mr. Schroyer, that when we weren't getting the taxes on time, that we were using the money?
At that time, when that happened, we did actually end up we did have to get a loan at that time because we didn't have rainy day money at that point. So that was
Could we use this way?
We could. Because our rainy day fund is set up so that we can use it for anything that the board approves. So if I come to you and say I need to use it for salaries and benefits, you can approve that and allow us to do that. Anything spent out of the rainy day, according to for Smith Green, anything spent out of the rainy day has to be board approved.
That's it?
Jeremiah?
Jeremiah looks like he's
No?
got a question.
You look like it.
He did look like it.
I spent a lot of time going through this before.
Kathy?
No, I asked, thank you.
No, I'm good. Thank you to Mrs. Ware for making this understandable. Nice report. Thank you.
Just last comment again, if any of you and anybody in computer land would like more questions or have questions, of course, ask our expert, contact her if you want a more one-on-one. All right, and there's no public comment for this, so I will adjourn the debt service education operations referendum and rainy day budget hearing at 2:35. 2:37, 7:37 p.m.
I'm going 7:35 p.m.
Sorry, Jeremy, I know that was a long.
September 18th, 2022. Okay, so we're done with that, now we can get.
One quick comment is you will be voting on hopefully budget adoption at the October meeting. So,
So I will now open the regular board meeting at 7:37 p.m., September 19th, 2022. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump, since we've done a lot of the stuff earlier in the hearings. I'm just going to ask now, is there anybody who is going to speak on items on the agenda? So if there's an item on the agenda, this is the time, if you signed up to speak, and then, just, I see there's a lot of new faces. So there will be another time at the end where if it's not, it's just something you want to bring up, then you can put it in this later section. But if you want to talk about what's on this budget, this is your time. Because if not, then I'm not going to go through the whole speech I have to give. I'll wait until the next time. Everything's for the other part of last public. Okay. So I was going to invite anybody, but we don't have anybody to speak. So I will go ahead and move on to the consent agenda.
we have a number of different board minutes, executive sessions from the 15th, as well as work session minutes, as well as regular meeting minutes, all from the 15th. And you have an executive session minutes from September 7th. I don't know if there's any question about any of those minutes that were in your packet. We've got some professional leaves. Are there any questions about any professional leaves? There. Any questions on accounts payable? We've got a number of donations I would like to highlight. The Cherubusco Show Choirs have a trailer project, and they secured a number of donations. I'm going to read through these for everybody. Shambon Sons at $500. King Realty, $500. Tanner Smith made a donation of $118. Madeline Sadie Bartel decal sales at $235. The Chamber of Commerce of Cherubusco, a $500 donation. Brotherhood Mutual, $450. Spectre Ganza. Well, you got great names. $568. Pizza sale donations were $145.83. The Hands Grant at $2,000. Professional emergency physicians at $500. Noble County RMC. Applied for by the Cherubusco Youth Foundation. They received from RMC $1,500. Beth Conger family $2,000, and then Heroes Pizza $500 for a total donations toward the trailer of $9,517.31. So I want to thank those people donating to that worthy project.
Thank you very much.
That's really generous in the Hands Grant. That's that student-led organization, isn't it?
Mhm.
Nice.
Have a number of proposed field trips. I don't know if there's any questions about those that were in your packet. I think I will highlight one. We've got our livestock judging team that is going to be taking a fairly long trip, all the way out to, I think it's Nebraska, so they've got, congratulations for those kids who are participating in that.
Just if you, just to speak about the proposed fundraisers, we just so everybody knows, and then being that they are.
Okay, we got boys tennis doing pampered chef. Sales, livestock judging team, they had fish fry. I think that was
Friday.
Yeah, it was Friday. Did anybody get an amount on that? That was a very nice fundraiser. Did anybody know?
I thought April mentioned they profited around 10,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a very successful.
I thought she mentioned that. We might want to double check her, but it was a lot. It was a big one.
High school volleyball with a car wash and t-shirt sales. Freshman class coupon book sales. Junior class Save More brought sales, and senior class senior fish fry coming up on the 12th of November.
Thank you.
Sure. I'd like to offer all those items up for consent agenda vote.
I will motion to approve the consent agenda.
No second.
You have first and second and several. All those in favor? Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
We keep on going.
Just keep on going.
All right. We've got a number of personnel things. To start off with, we have, and again, these are to be taken as one action item unless you have something you'd like to pull out. So we got the extracurricular schedule, the revisions that were on that schedule were highlighted. Do you have any questions about that? We're recommending Tina Alexander as a instructional assistant. Jessica Bearcott as a ED special education instructional assistant. Kimberly Carson as an office administrative assistant. Ashley Miller as a full-time ED special education assistant at the elementary. Charlene Rakowski, employed as a part-time intensive needs special ed instructional assistant. And Ashley Smith as a mathematics teacher, replacing Mr. Rice. Those are recommended for your approval.
Does that make us fully staffed then?
You missing something yet? What are you missing, Terry?
There's some 3 IAs.
Still need some instructional assistance.
Like a junior, senior level.
The superintendent, still looking on
Well,
that.
yeah.
All right.
I know it's dead stuff.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You guys?
Okay. I'll motion to approve the personnel agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
The first and the second, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye. I'd like to thank everybody who will be joining us here at Smith Schools. All right.
Next item is therapeutic counseling service and a staffing discussion. There's been quite a bit of conversation around different kinds of services that are being offered for counseling. We also have been talking about staffing. And so what I wanted to do tonight was to fill you in on how I plan to approach this from the administrative standpoint. And that is to put together a group, specifically we've got so many new administrators. We want to pull together the administrative team as well as our counseling staff, K through 12, as a group. We're also looking to add some additional input people that I would be inviting. And we will be putting together a team to do a little bit of a deeper dive into what exactly are the services that we're offering to our students. But instead of just focusing in on counseling per se, I would like to make this broader, looking at the total student experience at Cherubusco, and come to you with a fairly robust plan and well thought out strategy for how to enhance and improve the things that we're doing here at our school. There are many, many positive things. I tell you this constantly as an outsider who comes in and has been in fairly many school districts in my role as an interim, and also just my experience in the industry for 30 years as a school leader. You have a great school district. But even if you are good, that doesn't mean there aren't opportunities to improve and get better. And coordinating the interests of our community, the supports that are available to us, as well as looking at making sure that we are adequately staffed. I do believe that there are opportunities for us to look at the way that we are staffed and to provide some more support for our students. And we've got to look at it through the student's eyes. We want to make sure that we're providing the best environment for them. And so I wanted you to know that this is not an action item. This is just me letting you know how I want to address that, and I do not want to wait on that. This is something that we need to get on. It's one of those things that we will get pulled together, and we want to have a good, solid understanding and plan for where we want to go and what we want to do. It's very, very tough to understand, especially after having gone through the loss of one of our students. It's hard to grab all those pieces and understand how to handle it and what to do with it. We need to do it in a systemic way. We need to do it well, and just want you to know that that's going to be taking place fairly rapidly. I don't know if you have any questions about that. I just really felt like you needed to know that, hey, we are going to be moving forward with this. We are going to provide you a plan for you to look at, understand, and hopefully be able to support, or help us modify it to something that you can support in terms of improving things for our kids.
Do you have a target time frame for that?
The pulling together the group, I think I would like to do some internal things. I've already began reaching out and had some conversations with some local community people. I would hope that we could internally get our heads in the same place within the next 2 weeks, and I would be very disappointed if I can't, at the October board meeting, give you a progress report. I won't promise that we would be ready to tell you that at that October meeting we would have a full-blown recommendation in terms of staffing or what we would like to see you do, but I for sure by your November meeting, but the target would be, I would like to have something pretty well put together so you can hear about it in October and then have you actually give your blessing to it so that we hit second semester, we can be about making sure that these things are in place. That does not mean that there aren't things. There's been some community movement in terms of supporting the school with some really great ideas, how to help our families heal, how to help give our families more information. There's some partnership ideas developing there that have been promoted by and within the community, and that is greatly appreciated. We've been asked to be a partner with that, and so there will be more information along those lines, I think, coming out shortly, and that will definitely happen coming up in October. The target date is an October date, and so when they're ready to start sharing more about that and our partnership along with them, we'll definitely share that with you and the community as that develops. So, with the full-blown thing, I'd like to have you something in October so that you can chew on a little bit and then maybe give your blessing to some things. And I got to get on this one over here. She's keeping me tight as a drum sometimes. So we'll get, because I think it needs to be funded. You know, I don't want to come with you with a bunch of ideas and then have Jody not be able to sleep at night because the funding's not there. But we have some alternative funding sources, and it's going to be, it needs to be well planned out, it needs to be funded. The solutions that we would adopt or possibly talk about bringing in and using with our kids need to be vetted, and it's going to be done well. So,
Thank you.
And that's all I have. Unless there's other questions, thank you. Next item?
Oh, I just wondered about jumping back, if there were any people who came tonight that we hired in, because we didn't really do intros, right?
They're gonna do it, they're all gonna do that's our last public comment part.
Oh, okay, no, I meant, the staff people, the new staff people that we brought in tonight. I didn't know if any of them were here. We normally have them stand.
Oh, is there any of the ones that were approved tonight? I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to catch that in case
Yeah.
somebody came
Sure.
and we missed them. Okay,
I
thanks.
thank you.
Yeah.
Next item is the coach's handbook. One of the things that we asked Nate to put together, and Terry and Brett have worked along with Nate, is to put together a coaches and athletic coaches handbook. This handbook is there to provide guidance to your coaches. This is not a decision. We're not asking you to adopt that handbook tonight. This is your opportunity to see it and understand it, look at it, similar to the budgets, think about it. If you have suggestions or ideas, we want to know what those are, but then we need to have you adopt that so that it does carry the authority of the board when Nate and Terry and Brett are working with their coaches and ladies moving forward. Don't know if there's any initial reactions or thoughts to that. I do know Nate was putting this together and he relied on, I think he got a lot of handbooks from a lot of different schools and mixed and matched and pulled things together. Terry, you did go through it, right?
Yeah, we had to take us through it, one of our Friday meetings.
Okay. So that recommendation, is, let us know what you think. If we're off base on something, let us know so we can let Terry and Brett and Nate know so we can get that figured out. Okay?
Have we had the attorney look at it yet?
You mean in terms of just a review?
Yeah. We sometimes have done that with our student handbooks and things in the past, especially if there's big changes, and this is new to us, so I think that would be helpful.
Could easily do that. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll shoot it off to them.
Is this entirely new?
I don't know.
There's a lot of new people.
Oh, yeah, because it does have some blue things that
I
have
don't
been.
believe
Yeah.
this is an entirely new document. So I think that there's only very minor tweaks in here
Okay.
from what we had previously.
I'll double check. My understanding is that you have not had a board approved coach's handbook before. I don't know, has anybody here coached that?
That's what
Mr. Shelley.
You are? Did you have one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim would know. If he had one, Tim would have looked over it already.
Yeah.
Tim will know.
Yeah, we did.
All right.
I don't remember seeing this on a yearly basis, though, like we do the handbooks, so he will know. The attorney will know.
It's information. We'll get it back to you.
Okay.
We'll find out for you, okay? That's all I got for that.
Mr. Johnson?
nothing to report from the legislative side.
All right, so right here. All right, other business.
Okay, we have spoken a couple of times to you about non-certified salary schedule. Jody went through the salary schedule, also made some adjustments to adjust it according to the cost of living increase that was given to the teachers. So we matched that with the schedule, and then in addition to that, Jody had gone through survey data from Forecast 5, also just looking around our own area, and we made some recommendations for what we would call market adjustments to some of the positions. Don't know if you have any questions about that. I know we talked about this before. If you do have questions, I'd be glad to try to address them. There are no questions. We recommend approval of the salary schedule with the cost of living increase as well as market adjustments for select positions.
I motion to approve the non-certified salary.
I'll second.
First and second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Teacher and instructional assistant substitute rates, we did want to make a substitute teacher adjustment. Specifically, we traditionally have paid, sometimes we were in two houses here. Sometimes we paid a long-term substitute as a Smith Green employee. Sometimes we did it through the sub-service. What we'd like to have you do is to approve a daily teaching rate for a long-term substitute based on our beginning teacher daily rate, so that then our sub-service can continue to cut those checks and we don't have to cut the checks through our own pay. Did I do good? All right. So that's the change here. So substitute teacher would be at $95 a day. Long-term substitute teacher for someone who is not a certified teacher would be at $100 a day. A long-term substitute who has valid teaching credentials and is licensed would be at $221.62 a day, which is based on our beginning teacher rate. And then instructional assistant sub pay is at $85 a day. So we would recommend you approve that.
Questions? Anything?
I'll motion to approve the teacher and instructional assistant substitute rates.
I'll second that.
The first and second, all those in favor?
We had this courseware and rental fees. There were some changes that were made a little bit late. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, Terry. I mean, there were just a couple of adjustments that were made. I'm sure I didn't tell you to prepare for this. So. This is the recommendation that came over. The book fees were already approved, but there were some changes. Junior high math 1, 2, and 3 added IXL learning to their curriculum, so there was a curriculum add to junior high math. The English department was not assigning textbooks, so they at the end of a text year cycle, and so we have to take that charge off. You can't keep it on more than 6 years. And then the only exception to that is AP English still will have a textbook, and there will be a fee assigned to that one. So those are the changes from the textbook rates that we approved when July. Is that when you did June or July? So we recommend those adjustments to the textbook rental rates.
Anything? Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we accept those changes as presented.
I'll second.
All right, motion to second, all those in favor? Thank you.
The next item is a letter of intent with Shambaugh & Son for a guaranteed energy savings project. You went through an RFP process, a request for RFQ actually, request for qualification. Shambaugh was chosen as your provider for guaranteed energy savings project. What this letter of intent does is it gives them the confidence to move forward with engineering and obligates the board to pay for services that they render to us, including the ordering of some equipment prior to actually the preparation of the contract and getting all of that bid out. So if you look at the letter of intent, it describes that. It basically says it allows costs to be incurred up to a maximum value of $500,000. Please understand that's because they have to get the equipment ordered now if we have any dream of trying to get that in, because the lead times are pushing 10, 11 months on some of this stuff, and so we've got to get it ordered. So,
Is that December date, the start, the date that get started?
no.
No, okay,
No,
so
that's-
we were looking for summer, okay?
Yeah, so what's going to happen yet, this gives them the ability to know that, look, if we incur costs, you guys are going to pay. So you will pay for the work that they do. They still will come back to Wayne, they will come back with specifics as to what they're ordering. Wayne's going to make sure it's the right stuff, that it matches everything we're supposed to do. And before we actually enter into a contract with them, this just gives them the ability to move forward with, in good faith, putting engineering dollars into the project so they can prepare a contract that's, you don't want them to just throw money at a contract. You want them to do the engineering and then come up to us with an actual bona fide contract on it. So, if there's any, recommend that we would approve that letter of intent for Shambo.
I'll motion to approve the letter of intent for Shambo also.
And I'll second.
First and second, all those in favor? Aye. All right, next.
Next item is informational only. We are asked to every year document that we need to have some after-school, do an after-school care survey. Matt, I think on our behalf, did this survey. Did we make it happen? So we would like to present this this survey into the record for the child care survey for 2022. We had 29 kindergartners expressing interest, 21 first grade, 22 second, 17 third, 26 fourth, 17 fifth, and 8 sixth. There is no action necessary there, just needs to get in the minutes. Next one is preliminary enrollment. Jody already touched on this. We are looking at a decrease. It appears would it be right at 50 students if we are back on. So the original number we have is 52. I think we had actually a couple more come back. One thing of interest, we had 219 outside students coming into Smith Green for school. This year that's down to 202, so there was a drop there. Another place where we dropped some students is we had a graduating class of 93 that were outgoing. Our incoming kindergartners were 83, so we had a drop of 10 there. Throughout the other grade levels, we have a specific drop between 5th grade going to 6th grade with 10 students. And then we have another more significant drop of 12 students between 8th grade going then into the 9th grade. So we'll do a little more looking at those. We should be able to get some idea about what precipitated the drop. It's not uncommon for there to be a big difference between going from elementary and high school because if parents are moving and things like that, that's a great time to make that change. And then the same thing about going from junior high to senior high. If they're going to make a change, that's typically when people would do it. But that's just information for you, and we'll try to put a little more legs behind that data, try to understand better where we're at then.
Thank you.
To make a quick mention on Neola, we did have I did meet with Jim Grundy with Neola. We do have some policies that will probably be needed coming to you in October, if not October, in November. So I think Kathy is your liaison for policy. There's a number of policies related to high school curriculum. Many of them are procedural in nature, but there are a couple that you are being suggested due to new case laws and things like that. So those are in process. None tonight.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you. All right. Now, a moment some of you have been waiting on. But by the time we have 6 people, and I'll just go through for the rules for the public comment So with this, of course, you had to sign to speak. Speakers, please note that we're going to ask you to stand up on this one. Unless you're here with, you're married and here, you can introduce both of you at the same time if you want. Introduce yourself and just kind of state, if you're an example, since some of you are new, just say, yeah, I'm here. That's perfect. Just a quick answer. So just so we know. And then after that, so with that, there'll be 3 minutes speaking time only. Joey will be keeping track. I will give you the finger for there's 1 minute left. Okay? And also, just please note that comments about anything about personnel or students must be discussed in private here at a public meeting. All right? So let's go ahead. If anybody had any questions for that, we won't go to 30 minutes because there's only 6 people in here, but the normal public meeting would be 30 minutes total. So I can't see it anymore, so I'm going to let's just start in that back corner and just please stand up with your name and right here, and go right across the road.
I'll wait, just observe. Steve Thomas, just observe.
Thank you.
Roger LaFear, just observe.
Thank you.
Casey Taxi Parent.
Thanks.
Adam Luker, parent.
Ray Troyer, taxpayer. Thank you. Just go in the back, you guys, you forward in the back, and then I'll skip over here.
Bryce Widget, just for observing.
Thank you.
Alicia Hyde, support the board, be there.
Thank you.
Lori Troyer, taxpayer.
Rob Collins, the teacher at the elementary.
There's no one behind the door, right? We've had that happen.
Shelley Deal, District Librarian.
Abby Weber, I'm a parent.
Sue Ann Walter is parent. April Waters parent.
Sabrina Cruzy, just observing.
Daryl Luback, Watchdown.
Matt Wetzeler, principal of the elementary.
Brett Gunther, AP Junior Senior High School.
Terry Rowe, principal at the high school, junior high. Drew Graver, assistant principal at the elementary.
Nicole Fairchild, community member and permanent health education advocate.
Musaki Hassan, I'm a community member and I belong to the schools care team, which works in suicide prevention.
Thank you, everyone. Kathy, you're up. You're first.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
I just have 2 questions from Dr. Manley. Do you know if you're going to do a meet the candidates this year for the school board? They've done it in the past. I didn't know if you're going to do one of those. And I was also wondering, on the website it tells when all of the executive meetings are and the public meetings. I was just wondering if you could list when the work sessions are.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Mr. LaFear.
Yeah. It's not really directed to anybody, but stories go around town. We had problems here a while back, like last year, now they're coming to the surface again, and what's being done about it.
And what's that?
Was the bullying and the other problems that we were having with other students. What have they done with that?
No, just a kind of an update of what.
Yeah,
When they put
maybe
these teams together and
update
stuff.
on what's going on with it.
Is that something Dr. Lee went to, or Emily on their comments? Do you want to wait for that? You just kind of wanted an update on that team, is what I'm.
Correct.
If there was anything, for when we get to
Oh,
the
for
comments.
the bullying comment?
Yeah, or
Okay. There's the report that was out.
maybe just summarize it. Would you just want to summarize it, or you feel comfortable summarizing? When we get to our admin comments,
Oh.
just remember, if not, we can contact you, and
Okay.
if something has
Yeah.
something more
I
specific.
directed how that is, and then I thought Dr. Zimmerman's comments tonight were probably addressing things. Is that fair to say for what has happened this year?
Yeah, I think a broader brush than just, our most recent, tragedy and loss, but, I think the whole thing would be important. I'm not privy to a lot of knowledge about the other. I would suggest that maybe we gather that information and we supply it to him, after the meeting if we could, so.
Are we, Are we getting close to what you were hoping to do?
Well, I just heard it's a recent thing going on again, and I wondered how they were going to address it
Okay.
this year.
Right. If you want, would it be easier to just write it down, your questions, that way? I mean, we can give you an update, but I'm not real sure what specific. So, if you want, that's up to you.
No, I just wanted to see if anybody knew anything.
Okay.
Could we chat after the meeting? Maybe you can speak a little more freely at that point?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that.
Thank you.
Me?
Yeah, you're up. You're number 3.
All right. So my name's Nicole Fairchild. I'm the Executive Director of Macmillan Health out of Fort Wayne. I'm also a community member. I live here in Cherubusco. I graduated from Cherubusco in 2004. And one of the things that I wanted to come tonight and talk a little bit about is obviously the recent suicide that has taken place and then the 2 that last year. I wanted to ask about preventive education that's being offered to the students along with parent education that's being offered. October 12th is the parent event that we'll be holding in collaboration with school care team and the school. It'll be here at the cafeteria, open to parents 5 to 7 p.m. to provide a get on suicide prevention, and then 45 minutes of panel discussion. But I was wondering beyond that, in the past when this has happened, what preventive education for suicide is being offered on an annual basis, because it shouldn't just be offered when these events occur. They should, obviously prevention is there for a reason. And then to follow up with that, what postvention is happening at the same time in regards to education, what steps are being taken. And I think what Mr. Lefevre-Rat's asking for is a little bit of transparency. If there's a report, is the report available for the public to view that, or is there a condensed version, a one-page overview that could be offered to the public on the website? I think that's probably the biggest thing that this community is lacking from the school, is a lot of transparency. There's lots of things happening in the school, but the community doesn't necessarily know about it. And we're not asking to know about every single personnel issue that occurs, but suicides are a big deal. And so to be able to share what plan is in place, is there a suicide plan in place? What are the steps that are being taken? What preventive services are being offered? And then what are you going to do post with all of the students who are still here, to let them know that we're here for you and we want to remain being here for you, and we want you to stay in Cherubusco. We don't want you to leave, because this is turning into an epidemic. This is a youth mental health crisis. And am I at 1 minute? I did get the finger. So that was my comments, my feedback. I think that really just transparency, and whatever team you put together, if there's findings of, you know what, we've been doing X, Y, and Z, but I think we could do A, B, C in addition to that, that would be great for the community to hear and know that you're taking steps, you acknowledge that you haven't been maybe hitting all of the goals that you were hoping to do, but you're going to do better moving forward. And I also want to indicate that the parent night is to provide education for the parents, because it's not just on the school to address this issue, it's also a parent issue.
What was the date?
Yeah, just so everybody knows.
October 12th from 5 to 7 p.m.
In the
in the cafeteria, and we are trying to get pizza.
Oh.
So that way, it's for all ages, so if teens want to come with parents, if tiny humans want to come, they can come. We will have coloring in the back for them.
Okay, so everyone, it'd be 5 to 7, October 12th in the high school cafeteria.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Honestly, I just signed the wrong paper. It's my
You were just observing?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. You're up.
Hi, my name is Msange. Most of you that don't know me, I'm Cherubusco resident. I was born and raised on Main Street, and I went to high school. I'm lying.
You all do
No, I was married to somebody that was born and raised here and just passed away a year ago. So I've belonged to the community for about 6 years, and I was a therapist at Bowen Center. And I've made friends with, most of the community. I like this place. This is my home. And when I got into the school care team, that's when we're having problems in the school, and I'm pretty sure that, everywhere I go, I learn something, and I always feel like everywhere I go, I have something to give. That's why I'm there. So most parents are free with me, they talk to me, and, the students talk to me. So the school care team, we are free. So we come in the school and we implement the culture of kids working on their emotional health, mental health. We have a program, the one that I head, I'm a program specialist. So the one I do is called WRAP. It's WRAP, it's Wellness Recovery Action Plan. So we teach students to recognize their emotions, to recognize their problems. We teach them to be able to be free and talk about stuff. We teach them to see the signs before it happens, because sometimes when kids are thinking about suicide, it's not that they really want to do suicide, it's just the last resort. They feel like they just want to relax and let everything go. And the students also that we've seen go, when they pass away, they don't leave a note. Adults do leave notes, students don't. So students can do their notes before they go. So if we, allow them to talk to us, we come in and we do that. RAP program is evidence-based practice. It's known to work. It works for me. It works for most of the schools. It's not really old. It's a new thing, which is working pretty good. I'm not saying that Chirabasco doesn't want it to begin or any other high school, but I believe that most people did not know about it. So, but now that I'm in the community, so now that I'm here in the community, whoever wants to reach out to me, please do, and I'll explain more. I have 1 minute. No, that's okay. I would love to really thank everybody. I really appreciate what you do for the school. I know you work so hard. I know the parents work so hard, and I know this is a situation that suicide, we don't know how to talk about it. It's really hard. I lost my daughter through suicide, and she was in the Naval Academy, top military school. She was double measuring. So that's a kid that you don't think they're gonna go. So we need to know that it touches everybody. And I'm so passionate about it, and thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You're up.
All right. So I'm here tonight as a concerned parent and voice for our students. We all know that part of being a part of the school board member role is to keep students as the focus of the work of the school. Our students want to know why suicide is only talked about when something happens. I've heard several students say, why are we talking about this now? Is it just because something happened? Why are they being told to act like it's a normal day from student services? This is not normal. This is not fine. I called my son into school that following Tuesday because he says, I'm not going to school and listening to the garbage that everything is fine. He's right. It's not fine. We should not be telling our students that. A kid falling down and getting hurt, that's fine. That's normal. A kid taking their life, that's not fine and that's not normal. So, to them, the school is relaying a message to the students that the belief that mental health is not an issue. It's very much an issue. We are a small school, we are a small community, and this is happening year after year. So lastly, my questions are, what education is being provided for kids in the school and for parents? Are our teachers and staff educated on how to handle the reaction of when something like this happens, or are they just educated to say, it's normal, we just need to act like it's fine? And also, does the school have a suicide plan?
Thank you.
We were talking about some of that, summarize that conversation you had earlier too, about suicide. So, yes, some of those questions will be answered. You can. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, for standing up and talking. I know it's not always easy. We appreciate it. If we can get back to those questions, we will, of course. I will go ahead and close that part. And let's move on to the admin. Yep. Board member and administrative comments, please.
I'll go first. I got a couple.
Or Jody has something.
Oh, Jody, yes. You go first.
I just wanted to bring to your attention, and we've talked about this a little bit, but we've had Artie Sutton, who is our health, our insurance brokers, looking for different, or better rates and plans for our dental and vision. And they've come back with some pretty good rates for us. We have talked about this. We've talked with our discussion team, our teachers' discussion team, and they were on board with it. It looks like we can, if we switch from United Healthcare Dental to Delta Dental, we can save our employees some premiums for the very same coverage. And then also with the vision, it's not as drastic of a savings, but there's a little bit of savings if we go with, it's called Delta Vision, and it's basically just a, Delta Dental is taking on VSP and combining, and so if we sign up for both of them, we can save on our vision plans as well. I'm going to make an official proposal, bring it to the October meeting, but I just want to give you guys a heads up that it's coming.
You said there was no loss of coverage for them, Jody?
Correct. Yeah, so the vision plan, there is a little bit of a difference. The copay, they would end up paying like $5 more on copay for a visit, but the rates totally make up the difference and more. So,
Awesome, thank you.
A lot of the town has the same thing. It's the same one. It's not bad. Yeah. Thank you.
So I've got two things. One, I want to respond to a couple of the questions, but prior to that, we are in the middle of trying to solve some of our facility issues, specifically our basement, locker rooms, and things like that. So we have a facility committee that's doing some work. I know you as a board are well aware of that. Where we're at with that process is the architect has gotten guidance from the core facility team, and we've narrowed it down to two subcommittees are going to be working on. One is looking at a pre-engineered metal building. The reason a pre-engineered metal building would be considered as a way to add square footage to our site is that it comes in at about half the cost of actually a brick and mortar and traditional construction. If we are able to add some square footage, we would be able to repurpose some of the square footage within the building. So we're very excited about that, possibly being able to, at that point, find more space for our weight room, which I think everybody understands is of high importance, and then possibly able to use that space for actually some locker room space and abandon the basement locker rooms and turn that into probably what it would appropriately be used for storage and things like that. So just want you to know that's continuing to move forward. We would anticipate at the October meeting we would be able to come with some pretty clear plans and probably be able to lay out a lot more specifically what the project would actually look like for you as a board to possibly even consider some kind of action on that come November. That would be kind of a goal. Jeremiah is the board rep on that. I don't know if you have any comments relative to that.
We're still very much in the preliminary stages of looking at a project like this. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of detail yet. There's a plan, a vision, I guess. Maybe more is a better word than a plan. There's a vision for how to accomplish some of the things that we feel like we need to do facilities-wise here. So
I think one of the things that's exciting me with this group is that a lot of different stakeholders have been a part of it from inside school. So I think people have asked the right questions, like who else will it impact, and I think those questions are getting answered. So I think it's being done well and done right. So I look forward to that. Second thing I wanted to respond to a little bit is just the comments that were made tonight. I think they were well said, specifically as it relates to building a culture. I think it's exactly right that it's only through a sustained effort that you're able to actually impact culture and impact what's going on in the heart and minds of children, especially if someone's creating or generating some kind of a suicidal ideation or a homicidal ideation. It's not an easy thing. One of my retirement jobs was working with a national company in the area of school safety, And I share exactly the difficulty that there is in terms of finding and allocating the time to do that. And so it's one thing to say, hey, we have to do this. It's another thing to where you find the time to do that within the school day. And then it's another thing when you have large swaths of people across this country who actually campaign and run on the idea that social and emotional health is not a school issue. I think that's just wrong. It is a school issue, and we need to pay some attention into how do we support the social and emotional health of children. And we cannot not be a partner with our communities to that end. It is not the school's job, but it is the school's responsibility to partner with community members in whether it be the church, whether it be strong community advocates, whether it be professional solution providers, other experts. We need to be a partner. We need to participate in that. And you know what? That takes courage when you have entire people out there saying social and emotional health has no place in school. So it takes courage. So if you're affording us the opportunity to do this for the kids here, understand it takes courage by these people, because there are some people in this community that will say, no, social and emotional learning is not something that we're going to do here. I think that's wrong. I think it's something not only that you should do, I think it's something that we've got to do. And yeah, we don't own it. It needs to be a partnership. That needs to grow, but it takes courage. And I'm just telling you that right now. It's going to take a little bit of courage, because the winds can shift extremely quick, where the next time it might be some other comment that's being made about whether we have the ability or not ability to actually address the social ills of our society that are manifesting themselves in the schoolhouse. So, we'll work at it, and we're going to get after it. And I look forward to the partnerships that are going to develop as I'm here, and I really look forward to the partnerships and the seeds we're going to plant for partnership for this school district going forward. So, I believe that's all I got.
You're putting the team together.
Yes. So as I reported a little bit earlier, we are putting the team together, but I need some time to pull us together first, us being the school, and then understanding, okay, now how do we reach out and create meaningful partnerships? And yeah, that's the other thing you're going to have courage for, because I think you need help to do this. We need some help, and like I said, Jody and I already had discussions. I think we understand and see a pathway forward in terms of the finances necessary to put some things in place that I think will enhance the services that we provide to our kids, because it's all about the kids. That's what we're here for, is the children.
Any of the admin team have anything?
Yeah. Do you guys have anything? Sorry, I was just going to put you guys.
No, I do. Just a few updates at CES. Wanted to share. We have our upcoming PD Day Monday, which you guys have voted on to allow us to have that day to grow our folks. At CES, we're going to be focusing on our new math curriculum. We've noticed that it's very rigorous. It's super hard. It is showing gaps that we have in our building, so we're excited to continue to grow those gaps. We're also going to be spending part of that day looking at NWEA reports, and instead of just looking at those, coming up with a plan to do something with those numbers. And then we're also partnering with DCS to go over that mandatory reporting issue to make sure that we always have our eyes open as first responders for students who are being abused. Some more positive note though, our positive office referral is still going strong. I thought that we were going to be able to keep that up all year without erasing it, but it looks like I'm not going to be able to make it past the first 9 weeks without erasing it, because we're already full from kiddos coming down for doing the right thing. If you've noticed any of our social media, we've started our study trips back up. Kindergarten went to the apple orchard, and if you've ever seen 5-year-olds come back from the apple orchard, it's quite a trip. So excited to get those back up and running with the kiddos. And finally, we've been able to send several of our teachers to the High Ability Conference and also the ELL Conference. So we're working on hitting all of our kids, those English language learners, and then also our high ability kids also, and just coming up with plans to serve all of our kids.
Well, since Matt threw the gauntlet down, I better say something about what we're going to do on PD Day. So we are going to have some department time for the Brett and I are kind of learning a lot here really quickly, but we're going to have them go through the goals that they put on the website and go through their department goals for the achievement in their different departments for the students. A big chunk of our day is going to be with the Sandy Hook Promise, right, is that what we're calling it? And it is a reporting tool for students in crisis. Kind of addresses some of the things we talked about here tonight, but this is something that Drew actually is kind of spearheading. But we have a team meeting in the morning to start the implementation kickoff, and then the teachers will all be trained on how it works and how it's used during part of the day as well. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
No? Okay. Then that's me. I have one question to ask.
Oh, that was mine too.
Oh, no, that's actually number 2 on my list. It was, in addition to that, our enrichment activities are up and running, and we have the largest Da Vinci's group out there. We have 52 kids that signed up for Da Vinci's this year, so we actually had to add an additional day into our enrichment program, so they are hard at work. And actually, I can show you my text to Mrs. Tab that said, hey, I need some artwork. So that will be actually in here tomorrow. I know day too late, but we will have new artwork for you guys tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thanks. I think that's great. What's up there? I just want to, my part is thank you. Thank you for the questions and everything else. I don't know if we did get all yours answered. If you still have questions, we can still forward us or email us or contact us or something and see if we can't get them. As he works on that task that we talked about, I know we'll get a lot of that done as we move forward. So we can just kind of keep a tab once in a while, ask, see how we're going with that. But I would like to thank you, all of you. Other than that, I don't have anything.
I'd like to say welcome to all the newly approved hires. We certainly look forward to adding you to our organization here. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Certainly, at times, we see big groups and small groups. Many times, I think as you hear and you ask questions, and sometimes we're surprised by some of the things that get brought up. So it's always one of those things when we walk in and there's a full room, it's like, great, what don't we know? What haven't we heard, or something like that? Because there are many things that we're not necessarily privy to on a day-to-day basis that's happening inside the school. So, thank you for all your comments and support. And as we've talked, we will continue to try to do better. Thank you.
Also, just want to thank Ms. Fairchild, Ms. Hanson, and then was it Ms. Waters? Is that right? Thank you for coming to us. It'd be wonderful if we can partner in the future. Ms. Waters, I apologize if you're a student had to hear that it was just a regular day, because I can imagine how terrible that was. So there's obviously things we need to improve on in that arena, and I think we knew it before that even happened, before we even had which is maybe more gut-wrenching. So thank you for coming in, and just a reminder, October 12th, right, 5 to 7, the cafeteria is for parent education. And then superintendent update. We are in the middle of interviews. We are blessed to have, I'm shocked at they can't, I mean, our kids, just seem wonderful. So we have another round of interviews this week, and then we'll be choosing some to do longer interviews with in the weeks that come. So we are making movement on that, and while nerve-wracking and time-consuming, it is super exciting because we have some good candidates. We'll go miss Mr. Isabella for sure.
I would like to add on the Meet the Candidates night, we have been approaching community groups to put that together. Normally it's been a community group or one of our student groups that offers that night, and so lots of people have been asking about it, and I'm hoping that we're going to have something put together soon so people can hear.
Was it the
And
student
then-
council 2 years ago that did it? The student council?
Yeah.
Was that what it was for you guys?
The student council did it.
And, the PTO has done it in the past, and I think Rotary has helped, so.
Hopefully we get one.
Yeah. And then the work sessions are open to the community, just wanna make sure everybody knows that, and that is something that should be advertised, just
Yeah,
like any of our.
the work session that we referred to was advertised as a part of the regular meeting, so it was at the October 15th board meeting when the work session was, and it was the work session, or the August 15th board meeting, and it was the meeting where Jody went through and described a lot of the budget stuff, so they are always advertised. That's one of the requirements we have. Anytime the board meets together in a quorum, it has to be advertised either as a work session, executive session, or a regular meeting.
I just think maybe sometimes they may not be posted like now, if you
Right,
look forward,
yeah.
you may not see it, but like as the meetings are coming up, if we know there's a work session, and like the budget work session is pretty much always, is all, every year, but the other work sessions that come up may not be because we know they're coming, so, the budget one, we can start to try to advertise as a work session. The other work sessions sometimes just come up, that there's a work session, right? I don't know if we have any.
We don't have any other plan.
No.
A little uncommon to have a work
But,
session.
yeah, I didn't think, I mean, we can look at that, I didn't even think about that we should post it a year, you know, as we do the calendar. So,
That's a good idea.
Do you have flyers or anything?
Not yet, we are waiting on the panelists, the final panelists, and then we will have digital flyers that we will send for approval first before we mass send out on the social media, socials, constant contact and so forth. And we'll be doing the graphics on social media to target the zip code and income levels.
And then, Mr. LaFever, there was a bullying committee put together last fall, and Mrs. Putt and I were a part of that. It included community members, students, staff members, and bullying was taken a look at here at Smith Green and what are some services that we need to improve or offer our students. And there is a report for that out on the website, and we've made some changes in how we do day-to-day operations to address bullying more. So then, this year, of course, we've had suicide and mental health issues, and Dr. Zimmerman is putting together a group of people to take a look at that again. And I imagine, like you were saying, we're going to hear something in October, and then maybe some things will come together in November. Is that what I wrote down earlier? So we are hoping to again just improve everything we have to offer children here. And I guess it's Ms. Waters, you were talking about your child, and I appreciate you coming to the meeting and talk. I talked before I came on the board. It takes some courage to come, but I also want to say, if something like that happens with your children, please just call right away. Talk to whoever said it to
Happens
them.
about what? I'm sorry.
Were you saying that your child was told that it was a normal day?
Yeah, a lot of those students were told that, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know too.
Yeah, and I just think right away, let us know what kinds of things are being said, and if your child's uncomfortable, because there are staff people here who will, come and help with your student so that they're more comfortable to come to school. We were given some information about some of the things that happened post our suicide tragedy, and there were many resources available to the children, and I'm sorry that happened, but please don't feel like you have to wait till the board meeting, but let us know right away. Some of our staff can help with that. And then I am grateful that we have alums and we have people in the community who want our children to have great programs. So thank you for bringing those up tonight, and then bring them back to Dr. Zimmerly. And you are available also, you said, to talk to Mr. LaFever. So thank you. When is the ISBA meeting? Have we missed that?
No, I can still probably get you enrolled if you want to. Are you talking about the regionals? Or are you talking about the Indianapolis one?
Indianapolis. I could not find it.
out.
Okay.
First week of October.
3 and 4.
Mhm.
Okay. I think the regional one, if you want to give me that again, I think I had something that night.
And actually, both of those up, so.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I just want to thank Dr. Zimmerly for his proactivity and the comments in the room and the parents and the Sandy Hook Promise. I appreciate everybody's proactivity. I just ask all of our administrators, except Matt, Mr. Wansettler, is new and they're learning and have much to grow with us. Be patient with them. I appreciate the timetable that Dr. Zimmerly is trying to meet of let's get something going as fast as we can. So I appreciate everyone's input on this, and I do believe we're going to do everything we can come up with to make sure that's it, no more of that. So thank you to everyone who brought their comments forward tonight. I appreciate it.
Excuse me, and our next meeting is October 17th. Dr. I'll just getting back on that, so you be here. All right. I will then close this meeting at 8:40. September 19th, 2022. Thanks again, everyone.